Hello and welcome to another episode of the SME Focus Show brought to you by Factory Now TV. I'm your host, Christopher Greeno, and in this series, we will focus on SMEs within the British manufacturing sector. Every week, we will discuss and analyse the opportunities and challenges facing our industry in these unprecedented times. I have worked in the sector for over 26 years, and I am CCO at SDE Technology, one of the leading manufacturers of pressings and assemblies in the UK. As you can hopefully appreciate, this show is very much for manufacturers by manufacturers. My guest today is Willian Santos, International Sales Manager at ABI Electronics. Willian, how are you?
Hey, hello, Chris. I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic to see you. I like all your branding in the background. So this
Thank you.
is about ABI Electronics. So tell us exactly what you do.
Chris, can I just start by saying, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks very much for doing this, the work that you do, and Stuart Whitehead at the Jefferson Group, MTD, MFG. You guys are brilliant. You do the entire UK MFG community a massive, massive favor, and we really, really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your kind words. So ABI Electronics, what do you do? What's fantastic about your company?
So ABI, we are a very exciting manufacturing company specialized in the design and manufacturing of test equipment used in the fault finding, repair, maintenance of critical industrial electronics. Okay, so the company started in 1983. From day one, we have been designing, making all the products here in the UK. It was a typical startup back then. It was one man with an idea. He was a local design engineer working for the local company here, and then one way he got home and he found one of a tiny electronic component stuck on his shoe. He got that component to look at it and said, well, I just wonder if this still works. Because something that was very interesting back then is that test equipment wasn't readily available. So it was very difficult for engineers to eventually verify if the components were working or not in a timely and cost-effective manner. So he went home, he spoke to his wife and said, well, I've got an idea. I think I can do this. I can come up with an interesting solution for this problem. And the wife, who was a social worker, at the time said, yeah, go for it. I'll support you. I'll keep the house going. And he they had a back room here in Barnsley. He designed and manufactured his first prototype product, took to a local company, took to universities here in the UK, and it was a massive hit. They started, placing orders, and that's how the company started. So it was very similar to some of the cases that we see in Dragon's Den, in this day and age. And the company's, remained very true to its roots, very committed to making quality products, cost-effective products for the maintenance and repair industry. So over the years, a lot of money, a lot of effort, has been put into developing a wide range of solutions. This is called the Boardmaster. It's a very popular system in the marketplace. So the Boardmaster is the flagship product from ABI. It's basically the system that allows companies operating in defense, military, aerospace, renewable energy, telecommunications to basically repair electronic circuit boards. Okay, so we're all about making circuit boards like this one, last for as long as possible. Printed circuit boards are the brains of most advanced and modern modern systems, used in the assembly line, used in rail transport, and all sorts of different industries. And we are seeing a massive a focus being put back into repairing and maintaining and extending the life of these circuit boards. And we're all about this. ABI created a few years ago something called the Repair Don't Waste Initiative. It's a community of companies from across the business spectrum who really see the value in implementing our technology to extend the life of their electronic systems. So electronic systems used in the assembly line, it could be used, it could be a military radar system, it could be something used in rolling stock. And those systems were built to last.
Yeah.
And we can make them last longer than initially envisaged. Instead of only 3-5 years, they could last easily, a lot longer than that. Yeah. Okay.
So that innovation from your company isn't just innovation in terms of products; it's also in terms of marketing, selling, coming up with ways of connecting with a group of people. So you said there, making your parts last longer. So really, that innovation is what's driven the company forward. Now, obviously, we had 2020 was the impact of COVID-19. How have you managed to stay connected with your team? And I know you do lots of training within your company. How have you managed to keep that going during the lockdown periods?
Absolutely. Well, that's a very good question. We already have members of our team, working abroad, not just working from these sites. We have, people working in Spain for us, in Taiwan, in the US. So we were already very used to keeping in touch with some member of our teams working abroad. We also have basically ABI has a range or has a network of distributors, companies that represent ABI in 60 countries. So we have been using all the different types of applications to stay in touch with our distributors, providing training, guidance for many years. So that wasn't the challenge. The challenge was perhaps to continue to empower our customers, train them, make sure that they were making the most out of our systems.
Yes.
So something that we have done was throughout 2010 we developed a YouTube video collection, a video series called ABI Labs. So if anyone goes on YouTube later and just search for ABI Labs, they will see a collection of roughly 30 videos, short video tutorials. We turned this boardroom into our studio. We brought the gang together, and basically a couple of engineers go through all the different test techniques available in the Boardmaster, and giving tips, advice, talking about the best techniques used by all the different corporations, organizations who already utilize ABI products. So we really invested in that. We invested in social media as well to really stay in touch and keep in touch with our customers. We've done lots of webinars, inviting customers to come and be speakers in our webinars as well, and share their experience and how COVID was impacting them. Okay. So we've done all of that. We also teamed up with the Department for International Trade. ABI is actually an export champion.
Yes.
We were appointed by the UK Department for International Trade as an export champion a couple of years ago, and we have stayed on since. And the DIT has really helped us, amplifying the message as well, helping us bridge into new markets, new sectors. So we've been involved in the ventilator abuse, apologies. The ventilator challenge, because our systems are also used in the medical sector to repair, to extend the life of those, the electronics driving those systems as well. So 2020, in a long story short, was very busy. We worked really hard to keep everything going.
It was, and you mentioned turning part of your firm into a recording studio. I know exactly what that looks like doing this show. Now, Brexit for many is having quite an impact on their business, some in a negative way. How has it affected ABI? Because you've been exporting for a long time.
Yes, we have indeed. Yeah, ABI actually started exporting in 1985. So 1985, we were already exporting to places like Malaysia, India, Brazil. First time that we ever exported to Latin America was exactly to Brazil in 1991. And in case people are wondering where his accent comes from, it's actually from Brazil. So that's where I come originally. I was working for ABI. I used to work for ABI as a distributor in Brazil, and then I met MD 16 years ago, and then he invited me to come over to start our Brexit. So our Brexit actually started in 2007 when I joined the company, and the director basically said, look, we need to expand. We need to grow internationally. I think we got too used to selling to a number of countries, and we have some very good partners, and they're doing a very good job, but we need to diversify. We need to grow. So I went on a journey in 2007, looking for new markets, looking for new partners as well. So we started in the Far East. We have, I remember, I think the first distributor that I appointed was exactly in Malaysia. Again, wanting to really go back to that history, trying to rebuild that history, rebuild those links, those connections that ABI once had. So
Yes.
that was part of the project. Latin America, finding distributors, is strengthening our connections in Latin America. So we grew. We basically went to both sides of the Atlantic in a sense. We went to America, to North America, South America, Far East, Middle East, and it was a great success. And you know what happened? A couple of years later, the credit crunch arrived. Okay, and it was the best thing. What we did 2 years before, it started to do 2 years before, was the best that could have happened to the business, because
Yes,
when the
you were
credit
prepared.
crunch, we were prepared. We were
Yes.
prepared. So when Europe and when the US, for instance, when things slowed down, we were growing tremendously in places like Latin America. Okay, it was during the credit crunch years that we closed some of the biggest orders in our history. The biggest contract that we ever closed came exactly from an education education authority in Colombia in 2012.
What you're really saying is when people are looking at Brexit and looking at a market that is tough now to deal with and deals will be harder to do, you're saying we need to look further afield. There's opportunities around the rest of the world.
Absolutely, and I've been on these on a number of DAT webinars, trying really to encourage UK manufacturers to go out there to find new ways or opportunities in other places.
Yeah.
There's a massive respect for British products, for British technologies as well, and I definitely know this as a fact. Okay, from working initially in Brazil and then eventually working international sales here at ABI. So it's a bit like knocking on an open door in a sense. If you really believe that you believe in your product, believing
Yes.
in the core values, in the core USPs that your company can provide, there are many opportunities. Absolutely.
The market is there, and you've very many bespoke products, your Boardmaster and Revenge products. Important to keep investing and evolving in new product. How do you keep that innovation drive?
Well, something that we've implemented many years ago was really listening to our customers. Our customers run the show. When you go through our marketing, they are the stars of our marketing material. We really want to promote all the benefits that they are achieving through implementing our systems, and that has been very successful. So they provide us with a lot of feedback. We are actually running an international customer satisfaction survey, an online survey right now. So we're getting loads and loads of feedback from our brilliant customers from across the business spectrum and internationally, and they help us basically directing our investments in hardware and software developments. Yeah, as I said, we have our design team here. So we have design software engineers, design hardware engineers. We have our production team on site, and we can turn those ideas into products, into new enhancements, product enhancements. And this is what we do. This is what we've been doing for many years, and that's what we're planning on continuing to do. Yeah.
So that's fantastic. That's working with your customers, seeing what the customers need and delivering. And I love your comments about the rest of the world looking to the UK and looking to our manufacturing as a quality product. So, absolutely. Willian, the plans for the rest of 2021, 2020 was a tough year for many. What have you got planned for the rest of 2021?
Well, we had, company is growing, so we are very, very busy. I think perhaps sales is slowed down a bit. The business is slowed down a bit in July, September last year, but then eventually really picked up.
Yes.
And we had the best December in our history. Okay, of 38 years. So there are many things going on in that sense. We have just launched a new certification program for our customers. If you think about like an online MBA for our
Yes.
customers. So the 3 different levels, and we have our team, of course, is structuring all that, and we have the first group going through level 1 at the moment in America, and it's been a great success. So we're planning on investing more in educating our customers to really make sure that they are, like as I said before, making the most out of their systems. And we know that these will bring more business to ABI. Rough, depending on the year, but it's about 45 to 60% of our revenue comes from existing customers. So repeat
Yes.
business is very important for us. Sometimes an organization may start with one boardmaster, and the system pays for itself in a month, 3 months, and then it grows. And with not just with the growth by investing more systems, there's another growth that is very important, which is job creation. So we're very much into supporting our customers grow so they can hire more people, and that's a win-win.
Fantastic, William. Thank you for your time. It's brilliant to hear of everything you're doing and driving ABI. And I recommend that people go on YouTube and check out the ABI channel. There's a lot of content on there, and it's about training. It's about being with your customers on that journey. And fantastic to hear. Thank you for your time today, and I'm sure we'll speak again soon.
Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of another show. Fantastic show today. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing more of our brilliant SME manufacturers next week. If you would like to get in touch with the show with a comment, a suggestion, or even to appear on a future episode, please email us tv@mtd.media. Thank you again for watching. So from me, Chris G at SDE, goodbye.